I was born of the 42 ideals of Ma'at. My mother is nature. My father is time. I am a Neski queen.
All right, everyone, we are here with another episode of Be More Mindful podcast. I am your host, Aneski Anna Kim Set, and I do admit we're starting a little late. Had some technical things going on tonight, you guys. I will be working in the engineering seat a little bit more than usual because I have a very special show today. My guest is Mia Musa, who we normally live stream and we're both on at the same time, but Mia is actually in transit to the other side of the country to Los Angeles in support of her new web series, My Little Gig. Now, we are going to discuss My Little Gig here, and also we're going to get into the topic. For those who've never joined the show before, Be More Mindful podcast is an open forum used to produce productive conversations geared towards mental and social barriers. And we also highlight the arts and how working in those arts can help you deal with any mental and social barriers. And so, with that being said, we're going to get into the show. Also, before we get started with our interview, we want to remind everyone of our etiquettes here. Four easy letters, LOVE. We're going to listen to everyone. We're going to openly express ourselves. We're going to view everyone's thoughts as individuals, and then we're going to end in peace and love. So, again, like I said, this is a special show, guys. I'm in the engineering seat more than what I'm used to. But this is just a challenge. And so this is what the podcast is all about, showing people that, there are challenges that we all face and that we have to be able to come over them in the most productive and positive manner in order to maintain a certain amount of balance in life. So, like I said, Mia is currently on a plane on her way to California. And so to keep the show going, because as you all know, I am a thespian and the show must go on. I love it. So yes, the show must go on. Mia was so thoughtful to actually send us some of her thoughts and some of her views on clips. So today, you guys, we will be watching those clips. And so this is live stream with a little bit of recording. Ooh, stepping up in the podcast game. And it's different for Be More Mindful, but it is well needed because as you all know, for Authors Media Network, our symbol is a tree. We believe in growing. So seeds been planting, things are growing, and the podcast is expanding. And so this is just another step. Now, I'm going to let you all. We're going to go into the intro introduction, because as you all know, we normally introduce the guest, and so she was kind enough to make sure that she was able to do an introduction. So you guys bear with me while I bring this up and make this happen. Would you make it happen? That's the show topic, you guys. Raise up a child, and that is Mia Musa there in the corner. And I was actually inspired by her picture that she sent for this flyer. She's actually sitting in like with the garden background of the same color, and so it was very inspirational. And I felt this to be very fitting for the topic, which is raise up a child. Going into just the topic. It's a little bit, you guys, I'm working on an engineering thing, but that's not what I wanted you all to see. I wanted us to see her introduction. All right. And so here we go. I think I got it, boys. We're going to clap for me. Did I do it right? Did we do it right? Let's see. I might not. You guys, I was practicing this before I even started. And it still just seems like I don't got it right. Let's see if we can get it to play. Oh, interesting. I don't know if I'm supposed to have been doing it like that. You guys, I've been practicing. That's why the show is a little behind. Because I promise you, I was like, I'm going to get this right. I'm going to figure out how to do this for my peoples because, there we go. Let's see what we got. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna write it back, you guys.
For quite some time, over 10 years, maybe like 15 years at this point, I put together.
All right, let's go for it.
Hi, I'm Mia. I am a comedian, producer, curator, writer. Um, for quite some time, over 10 years, maybe like 15 years at this point, I put together events. I'm a creative business consultant. I work with a number of like creative entrepreneurs and organizations to kind of help them either make their hobby their real job, or to like scale up, or just to kind of create solutions for what they do. So me as a producer and me as a curator is often where I feel most comfortable helping others, doing the more administrative part when it comes to art. I didn't always consider myself an artist. I don't know if I still do. I just come from a creative family. My mother is very creative. She's one of the people that like when you came in the house was going to look completely different every time, because she would constantly rearrange. She would constantly remake a piece of furniture to be something else. She did hair, she sold clothes, all that type of stuff. So it just kind of absorbed. And then if I look like that, then I'm gonna go to school, and then the people that's going to talk to me are going to be the people that also have like artistic interests. So I've always been surrounded by art, and I've always been surrounded by performers and creative people, even when I didn't consider myself so. And because of that, my role in the arts has been mostly administrative. But for the past 3 years now, I think right now we're reaching just like a month out from my 3-year anniversary of comedy. I keep mixing it up. I don't know if it's my 4th year. I don't know, but I've been doing comedy. I've been on stage, and it's something that I always was interested in. And it was something I always wanted to do, but I really didn't see myself reflected in the comedy world. A lot of the comics that I like didn't look like me, didn't sound like me, or didn't come from the background that I came from. So I just didn't know how I'll be received by audiences, and I also am not like super comfortable or super eager to be on stage. But even when I used to host open mics and stuff, I had an arts collective called Cree Soul that ran from 2010 to about 2013, 2014, something like that. And we had a monthly open mic and just some other events. But I would say that me hosting those events was me practicing for like eventually doing stand up. And even when I had a Twitter account and I was active on there, I would say this is me practicing jokes. And so finally, I got a divorce. I was kind of fast tracking my life in a different direction. And I decided I wanted to do stuff that I always wanted to do in a bucket list item. And I ran into a friend who was kind of going through similar things as me. He was just going through a separation. He always wanted to do comedy. And we ran into each other, and we were just like, all right, we're going to be accountability partners. We're going to go on these days. And I think I tried a couple times, but nobody was there. Like something, people didn't think I was a comic. So they, invite me up. And then finally, we made it work. Went up there the first time. I was planning on that being the only time. I was really planning on that being the only time, but it didn't work out that way. I got a big response, and I started having people inviting me and encouraging me to be on stage. And so I've just kind of been doing it more or less consistently ever since. From the outside look at it, it's pretty consistent, but comics, I make sure they on the stage every single day. I don't necessarily do that, but I my goal, when I thought about what my goals were with it, when maybe taking it a little bit more seriously, just like, again, I'm not super I don't really care about being on stage like that. So there's people that have the goals of selling out arenas and all of that. I can't say that I necessarily want that, but what I have always wanted to do was write and produce for television and movies. And I actually went to school. I went to Temple University in Philly for broadcast and telecommunication mass media. I was going to go for film and media arts, but I didn't want to go to the 8 a.m. classes. It just is what it is. So I was more on like the study side, and yeah, I've been grateful enough to end up running into Imani of Imani Network and Steve of Giga House Media, and we got together and we've been working on this show concept for now like a year. I think it was this time last year when we first had the conversation, and we got the first episode done. The first episode has been going through the film festival circuit. It's called My Little Gig. My Little Gig is about this young woman who, finds out that she's about to get evicted. It's kind of like post-COVID America, where it's just this confusion around like, all right, do I pay rent? Do I not pay rent? What's going on? Is the world about to end? And it's just like, yeah, you're going to have to pay rent. And she tries all of these different gigs in order to do it. So every episode follows a different gig pretty much. But the first episode is kind of like compilation. And we wanted to do it that way so that just in case it would take us this long to get to the other episodes, that you at least get adjusted to a standalone as like a short film. So, I'm grateful. This weekend we're showcasing in LA. It's gonna be my first in-person um, festival experience as a filmmaker. I used to work for Maryland Film Festival, the Parkway. And my first time in LA was me going to the Pan African Film Festival just on some random stuff. So this is gonna be my first time. So this is going to be the first time at a film festival because we got into some online festivals and we won some online awards. But this will be the first in-person film festival showing. So it's making its world debut pretty much in LA, which is crazy, at the LA Comedy Film Festival. So that's exciting, and that's where I'm on my way to. Hopping on a plane, and the response has been amazing. So I'm so grateful for that. We're currently doing a fundraising campaign, so if you're interested in us helping us get the rest of these episodes done, and to make sure that I'm not the only person going to these festivals, and we get Baltimore represented around the world, because next week is showcasing in London. Okay, so that's our international premiere at the Rapport Film Festival, which is a film festival for African diasporic filmmakers. So we wanted a few American filmmakers that was actually selected, which is really exciting. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go, partially for personal reasons, partially because I just simply can't afford it. So any help helps us, take advantage of those opportunities where we've been invited. But anyway, being able to tell stories, being able to hear people's stories, especially in independent art and media is more real. And when you're more real, it's more affirming. And I think that affirmation, even if you're a comic, if you're a singer, if you're a poet, being able to perform and present and affirm people's experiences. And that's one of the main feedbacks I've gotten from people that watch My Little Gig. Like, oh, yeah, I've been through that before. Yeah, I know that. And just to see your experience affirmed, it creates some level of peace. Because a lot of times our mental anguish comes from feeling isolated and alone and feel like nobody can relate. And so when you see it reflected, it's just like, oh, I'm not the only person going through this. And consider I'm not the only person going through this, then that means I can open up and share more about like what I'm going through. But also that means that somebody has also been through it, and I can find an example of who's been through it and how I can overcome it. And so that's one of my goals for the show. I'm not going to say whether or not she meets her goal, but we want people to leave realizing that you can always do what you need to do to achieve a goal, and there's always some sort of method to make something happen. And instead of being stuck in the why me, why now, how did this happen to me? So we want people to feel like it's going to be exciting. It's going to be like heart pumping. But we want people to feel good about it. I don't want people being stressed when they watch it, because like, why would I do comedy if I want people to feel and be stressed? So yeah, when it comes to art, mental health, all of that, honestly, sometimes this stuff drives me absolutely up the wall. So I can't say people don't realize how damaging putting that out can be to your own mental health, but being in the community of artists, you know what I mean, and people that see things a different way, it's good. It can be helpful.
Oh my gosh, I may have been talking all this time, you guys, and I don't know if you guys have been hearing me because I just realized the light on my mic was off. Oh, oh no, not in the live stream. But you guys, sorry about that. Sorry if you guys was listening for a minute and I was talking and you guys couldn't hear me. Sorry, I just looked down, the light was off. I don't know when it went off, and see it's on. But like as I was saying, this topic came about because I had to come to the realization after being frustrated with my children and taking my art and me as a creator and a artist and performing artist serious. I wanted to take myself serious enough to say to my children that, especially the ones that, like I said, 7 children ranging from 26 and 5, 6 being between the age of 26 and 14. I had to, really get with myself and stop beating myself down from being overwhelmed and frustrated with the pressure of being a mom, and basically just say, I made a courageous choice and that I need to be proud of that choice. And I need to make sure that I look at it from a positive and productive light, because there are people who have not made this choice. And again, whether you guys heard me previously, if the mic was off, I apologize. But I mentioned that those that we know and are aware of, people who chose the opposite, whether it be they chose abortion, adoption, or what we may feel is, immoral enough to leave their children on someone. At the end of the day, people that choose to actually take on this responsibility full hard and take it serious enough to do the things that are classified as things that need to be done as a parent. You know, we need to pat ourselves on the back. We have made a courageous choice. We have chosen to raise up a child. And that is a position and a job that needs to be commended because, again, we hear people speak of the youth in Baltimore City, and we hear people speak of how, they have no respect, they lazy. We hear the negatives. We hear the negatives about the youth, and that's another subject because, we clash on that. I clash with people on that, coming at the youth, and mainly because I don't mind looking at the youth, but I always like to look at where they come from. Because mind you, they didn't ask to be here. No child came out the womb and said, "Hey, thanks for doing that. I've been waiting for this." You understand? These are choices that were made for them. Someone made a choice to bring this life into the world. And then getting again to the topic, they made an even more courageous choice to raise up this child. And so we're going to get right back into the interview with Mia, you guys. Again, still bearing with me because I'm working more on the engineer side today. Because again, Mia is on a flight to LA to support and represent My Little Gig, which is a web series that she helped put together with Amani Networks and some other creators and people involved in My Little Gig, all the way down to the actors and comedians. And I just want Baltimore to take the time. I'm sorry, I want everyone, Baltimore and everyone included, to take the time to support. I'm pulling from support locally, but we do. I mean, My Little Gig is, as you just heard, is get ready to be seen over in London. So I would do it injustice to just, signify it to just this city. But in the end, I really want us to learn how to support each other in the city and use that to push us out across the nation. And so that is definitely one of the reasons why I wanted to get the show in today, why My Little Gig is definitely relevant and why Mia Musa is relevant. Because again, as a mom and a creator, she is pioneering the way. She is showing people, that you can be a mom, you can have a 9 to 5, you can go to school, you can do all these things, you can pursue your dreams and still raise up a child. Because again, she's a mom. And so I listened to the things she said, all her accolades, and I sit back and I'm just amazed because being a mother alone comes with so many detailed intricacies in that job that one would really wonder where would anyone find time to do something for themselves other than care for, nurture their children. So we're gonna go in a second, get ready to get into her second clip about the show topic again. Like I said, I brought in a quote: "Perhaps it takes courage to raise children" by John Steinbeck, because again, I want us to understand, like, it's not an easy job, and we have a choice. Children need to understand their parents have a choice. Children need to really understand that they're being unappreciative, unruly, and disruptive. They aren't being appreciative to, especially if they have people who chose to do things the best of their ability, sacrifice, and go the extra mile to ensure that they had the things that they need and can succeed in life. Needs to be appreciative because being a parent is a courageous choice. It is something that some people might consider themselves failures, but they don't even understand the choice to even try is a victory within itself because some people don't even try. So, if you're a parent out there and you've tried, congratulations, good job on making a courageous choice. We're gonna get right back into the interview, you guys. I'm gonna take that down. Hey, I'm doing good, yay me, and I'm getting ready to go and I'm gonna share the screen again, and we're gonna get into the second part. Mia, let's hear what she has to say. Okay. Oh, and I do want to go here and make sure that I make the screen set. Um, yeah, this part. Yeah, this part. It's coming, you guys. I hope I'm playing the right clip. All right, there we go. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm working with it. I am definitely working with it.
Hi, I'm Mia. I am a comedian, producer, curator, writer.
Oh, it probably
For
is
quite some
long.
time, over 10 years, maybe. Like,
Definitely is the same one, guys. I apologize.
urban and suburban schools are poor attendance and discipline problems. With parental
Yeah, guys, I apologize. I'm really learning. And I practiced. I spent 30 minutes practicing you guys before I even started because I really wanted this to go smooth. But again, the show must go on. You guys, actually, this is actually a clip referring to experts versus experience. And so we could go right into that, which is fine with me because I just definitely want you guys to hear me out. She has a lot of information to give, and she's a great person to talk to. And we're definitely gonna get into this being a parent, raising up a child, and how we really need to step back and look at it from a positive mindset instead of always being frustrated and overwhelmed in urban society. And so, just to get into experts versus experience, you guys, as you all know, I'm giving my disclaimer. My Be More Mindful podcast is for entertainment reasons only. I do not claim to have any type of credentials, and so therefore my advice should not be taken for mental health reasons or any type of health reasons. If you have any issues, if you're going through a lot, if you're feeling overwhelmed, even suicidal, even please seek professional help. Get the help that you need. Be More Mindful podcast is again just an open forum to have conversations. Now, hopefully, will help you get to understand whether or not you may need to be at that level where you may need professional help. Or maybe you could just sit down with this podcast and work some things out within yourself. That's just the goal. So, getting into experts versus experience, you guys, she's actually you're going to hear her go over some of the paragraph that I came from. Then I'm going to go back and let you know my source. We're going to get into it. But here is me, you guys. Let's see if I can get the takeaway. Let's go.
Okay, so I'm looking at this article about parent involvement versus parent engagement. Says parent involvement is defined as the amount of time parents volunteer or visit the school, while parent engagement is the amount of support, communication, respect, and commitment parents demonstrate for their child's schooling. And then I'm going to skip to where it says, I need my students' parents to be engaged by showing first and foremost that their children attended school every day, unless they were ill, obeyed their teacher, and worked hard. Two primary variables that distinguish urban and suburban schools are poor attendance and discipline problems. When parental engagement is active and there's collaboration between school and home, then attendance and discipline are usually improved. So I'm a teacher and I'm a parent. My mind goes a lot of different places when I read this. Yeah. And that is, yes, as a parent, you should know that you are you're your teacher's first teacher and primary teacher. You're your child first teacher and primary teacher. It does not matter what happens in that school. They are always going to default to your example and your lessons. Okay, whether you actually proactively are teaching them these lessons or they're picking it up by what they see. All right, the culture at home can be very different from the culture at school, and the reality is that is actually what separates most so-called urban and suburban schools. Children are children. Most children are the same across the board. But the fact is, we try to replicate a school model from a Western, Eurocentric, suburban, middle-class perspective to urban, uh, again, African, indigenous children in a totally different type of environment and a totally different circumstance. So one thing that studies have shown is that, like, if you are in a house with a lot of noise, and it just could be because you have multiple siblings. In my house, when everybody's in the house, it's a lot of activity, it's a lot of noise, everybody's playing, or they're watching TV, or whatever. It's a little bit harder for you to adjust to a school setting where you're supposed to be quiet. It's like very simple things like that. And so for there to be parental engagement and parental involvement at the school level, and for a school to expect parents to say respect and listen to the teacher, there has to be respect from the teacher side. There has to be respect from the school side. And the reality is, when they're working with our children, and this is somebody that's been in the education system for 20 years, they do not have respect for our children. They have low expectations for our children. And I don't care if they look like us, there's still very, very little respect and very low expectations. Okay. And you know that disrespect is there because even if something happens, instead of having a collaborative conversation with a parent, they'll try to dictate what that parent is supposed to do or how they were supposed to respond to create a positive experience inside the classroom. When really it has to be a collaborative conversation. How did your child work best? What do they respond to? How do they respond positively to things? Now, as a parent, that's where that real engagement is. It's not you telling your kid, oh, make sure you always listen to this. Make sure you all, because that's how sexual abuse cases happen too. Like, no, I don't tell my children that. I tell them they're in a professional environment when they go to school, and they need to respect the environment that they're in, and they're there to learn, and they're there to have fun. And that's really it. And I give them the space at home to have fun so that when they go to school, they're not acting a fool. And my kids behave pretty well, and their grades are pretty good, and they test pretty well as a result. But also, I don't rely on school to be their sole means of education. They do stuff at home. We go to the library all the time. They're still a part of homeschool collective because that's where we came from. It's homeschool. So they still go to that, you know what I mean? And that's where actual parental engagement comes from, having a respect for learning. If you only rely on this school system to teach your child, they are going to be completely turned off from learning because it's all about how somebody else validate you and how they validate your intelligence. And if you don't fit well into that box, then it's unbeneficial to you. And if our society was built on the people that did the best in the box, did the best in society, then it'd be like, okay, we need to get you to get into this box. But that's not what happens. What happens is usually the people that do the best in that box worst in society, because that's not how society works. It does not work on grades and positive reinforcement and, on that level. It doesn't. And especially the way that our society is going. And so that's why we really need major shifts. And parents have to be keen about what am I experiencing in the real world right now? What's happening right now with like how I have to show up at work and where the industry is going. And based on those industry trends, I need to figure out what environments I need to have my children in, what do I need to expose them to so they're most successful when they come out into this world 10, 15 years from now, or however old your child is. Okay, that's what parental engagement is and parental involvement. It does not have to be cycled and circled around this current system. It needs to be cycled and circled around your family success, your community growth and success. Okay, that's what I do for my children. I know that I can't rely on them being a cashier because AI is taking over that. Self checkout is taking over that. So I need my children to be critical thinkers. I need them to be creative thinkers because their world is constantly changing and they need to learn how to be adaptable. So I make sure they're in situations and environments where they're adaptable. Okay, I need them to be able to stand out. A lot of children are illiterate right now. I keep them in the library. I keep them with books. I don't throw a screen in their face all the time. And it makes my life harder. And it makes my life harder. Okay. But what's important for me is I don't make their life harder later down the line because I'm not going to be no parent for 50 years. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be their mother, but I ain't going to have them all in my house because they don't know how to do nothing. I'm sorry. And people be criticizing that nowadays, like, oh, my child can always come back. No, they can't. I put a lot of work effort into into parenting. Okay, especially the first 5 years. Them kids was up under me. You know, them kids was up under me. My first entry point into. They were always strapped onto me. They were always around. Anybody watching me? No, you did not see me without seeing my little ducklings. All right, I put a lot of effort. So when it's time for them to get kicked off the nest, they are getting kicked off the nest. I'm not playing about that. But it's my job as a parent to make sure that they have the proper skills and they're in the proper community that can support that independence and growth. If I just relied on the system to do that, especially for our children as Black people, I expected them to make my children independent and self-sufficient.
So yeah, you guys, yeah. So as you can see, she has a mouthful. She has a mouthful, you guys, and it's like the thing she has to say is so informative, and of course it comes with that natural comedy feel. Again, like I said, her and she's subtle, but her energy is definitely up there, and she hit on some great points. So you guys, let's really dive into this this experts versus experience topic, and so again, and also please make sure you guys are going on Instagram. You're going to follow me, a MUSA Comedy, and you're going to follow my little gig, and you're going to do whatever you can do to support. Like, comment, subscribe, send some money, whatever it is that you can do, you're going to do it because this is about us. So, um, this week's experts versus experience comes from an article out of edweek.org. It is from a brown skinned uh, principal from a school, and he was writing on and I do apologize, I don't have the actual, you guys know I normally have the title, not the actual title article, but he was writing on the importance of involvement with parents and teachers. And I wanted to address this because, again, Mia hit it right on the nose. We are our children's first teachers. We are. And so when you make that courageous choice to be someone's parent, it's almost like Spider-Man. Think about it, you guys. You are choosing to be someone's superhero. You are choosing to be someone's guide in life. That is a very important thing to think about, a very important choice. And so I often think about, cliche, but when Spider-Man got his powers and his uncle, would say he would reflect his uncle saying, with great powers come great responsibility. That should be the current quote anthem. Okay. When you take the courage and choose to not only bring life, but stay in that life and raise that life, those powers come with great responsibility. And I noticed that one of the things that causes the clash in the younger generation, and things is being said about how they act and what they do, is the school system. And when we always have the conversation with both sides, you hear the teachers and the administration speaking how they need more parents to be cooperative in the school system to help shape their children. But you also hear parents having complaints about the teachers not, being of certain calibers or not having the same mindset or the same goal. And I wanted to address that because understanding that that's probably going to be the most important relationship that you develop. If you are not homeschooling your children, if you're not going to be the sole proprietor of their education, be it academic as well as any social or mental education in life, if you're not going to be that person per se on an everyday basis, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like clockwork, like a job, you're 9 times out of 10 going to have to turn your children over in the hands of what people be considered educational professionals. And whether it's private school or public school, and we all know urban living, 9.5 times out of 10, it may be public school. So now you're dealing with the system. We have to understand that being in relationship with the administrators in the school systems, it will probably be one of the most important relationships you have as a parent. And so therefore, I wanted to address that so that we could kind of bridge that, because I think that this youth, it's not so much that they are lazy and they're violent and they disrespected. I just think that part of their development has been kind of overlooked, or even, let's say, dimmed even. I think a lot of these youth, because they learn things fast, are left to raise themselves. And so the results are what it is now that you see. So, people that are complaining, just be careful. Let's analyze this, because who raised this child? If they're raising themselves, then we can only expect to get what we have. But if we empower our parents and let them know that, first off, they have made an awesome, courageous choice. This is some prison sentence that you're to be overwhelmed and beat down with the struggle to the. And I love the fact Mia hit it. I'm gonna be a parent till I'm 50, but I don't plan on parenting till I'm 50. If you understand what I'm saying, we need to understand our mindset, be more mindful of the choice of being a parent and what comes with it, and take it in a positive manner. You are choosing to take everything that you learned and try to give it to someone else in a better way. And we're all winging it. But we do have people who like to give documentation and literature to help guide us. And so, bringing us back to our experts versus experience, this particular principle, he was writing about parent involvement and parent engagement. And Mia read it. I'm going to read it again because we're probably going to close out after this. It says, parent involvement is defined as the amount of time parents volunteer or visit the school, while I define parent engagement as the amount of support, communication, respect, and commitment parents demonstrate for their child's schooling. For example, as a principal, I told my parents, I understand if you can't physically visit the school, and we can conduct parent teachers conferences by telephone, Skype, email, etc. I needed my students' parents to be engaged by ensuring, first and foremost, that their children attended school every day unless they were ill, obeyed their teachers, and worked hard. Two primary variables that distinguish urban and suburban schools are poor attendance and discipline problems. When parental engagement is active and there is collaboration between school and home, then attendance and discipline are usually improved. And you know, I got there just to say, parents, the same way we got to show up when we make that choice, we got to show up as a valuable, important part of this child's life. We have to instill that in our children and just let them know they have to show up. When they get to school, they have to show up and be a valuable, important, productive part of society. And, we need to really make sure that we take that into full consideration. Stop looking at school as just, I think we get so robotic and technical with life, everything, because it is a system, we get systematic. So we get the, oh yeah, get up, go to school, I'm gonna just sign a report card, oh homework, oh whatever, oh there's testing, oh spring break, oh winter break. And we kind of go into this mundane cycle of, and everybody's just disgruntled and unhappy. Even the students, they don't know, they don't even know why they go to school anymore. And so we got to bring it back, guys. We made a choice to raise up a child. With that, raise means, it doesn't mean stand them on a pedestal and give them everything they want. No, it means instill things in them that will help them elevate, instill things in them that will help them go to the next level, instill things in them that will make them better than us. I find it odd that, when we fall into, there's a scripture in the Bible that says the young people, the youth will be wiser but weaker. And I always, used to hear that, and I hear the older folks say that in church, and I used to get agitated and irritated because it was just like they were just deeming the fact that the future would just be ran over. We'd be smart, we'd be ran over. And now that I'm older and I understand it, but from a different perspective, the youth, we have so much technology. My 5-year-old can pick my phone up, put in my password, go to YouTube and pick his favorite video. And he's in, and he barely talks. And it's not that he can, but he chooses not to. I said to say, very wise young man, very wise. But at the same time, with that wisdom, he's extra sensitive. He gets frustrated easily, throws the phone, breaks down, he's very sensitive, and what people might consider to be weak. And I want to bring that up because we have to make sure that everything is in a prophecy. Okay. Some things are proverbs. All right. Some things are for you to know. Let's stop making the younger will be wiser but weaker a prophecy. Let's make it a proverb. Let's make sure we understand that this was written so that we can have understanding that we have to raise up our children, because the next generation is going to have the intelligence, but they may not have the strength. And so we have to make sure that they have the intelligence and the strength so that we cannot make that where it's a prophecy that they'll be a weaker, but a proverb so that we can know that they have to be built up in a lot more ways other than intelligence. And that's the truth. That's what I want to say on that. And by doing that, we have to be able to build a strong village. And being that our children are in school by the system for a minimum of 8 to 12 years. And I say 8 because, mind you, you're able to leave school at the age of 16 and get what's considered your Maryland General Education diploma or certificate, pretty much. And so, but still, at least a decade that our children will be dealing with people that they have to have the responsibility of educating. You know what an educator is? Those are what our teachers should be doing, educating. And so we need to build that bond. We need to make sure that we are raising up our children. We need to be proud about it. We need to make sure that the people are reproducing. Cut out all the reproducing for all the selfish, negative reasons that people reproduce for, and understand that you're reproducing with a responsibility. You're reproducing with a job. You are making a courageous decision to take on something very responsible, which is be the nurturer and caregiver for the person that's coming up behind you. Because unfortunately, we all know no one is here forever. And so we need to leave something behind. What are we leaving behind? What is our legacy? What are we teaching our children? What are we raising them up to be? And that's it, you guys. That's it. I do have 2 more clips from Mia. But because hey, I tested my engineering skills, guys. You know me, I like to stay in my lane. Engineering definitely isn't my lane, even though I can drive. But yeah, for the more serious part, I'm definitely planning on posting her other clips on YouTube. So please, you guys, make sure you check them out and pay attention to the information she's giving us. She's a very wonderful soul. Very humble and just doing great things in Baltimore right now as a mom. As a mom, she's taking the time to realize that not only can she raise up her children, but she can pursue her dreams and give them something to see, something to believe in, something to follow. And we all need to take that and run with it. Everyone who has chosen to be a parent, you made a courageous choice. You made a very courageous choice. And if you ever felt down, you beating yourself down, and you felt like you wanted, just to give up, please don't. Because it takes a special kind of person to make the decision to not only give birth, but to raise life. And yeah, so we get ready to close our show out, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. I do apologize for any of the technical difficulties that happened, but you guys, you know me. For Authors Media Network, our motto is a tree. You're gonna grow with me. You're gonna grow with me. If you've been watching, you've been seeing, you've been seeing changes, but they're always all for the good. So I'm gonna close out my mindful thought, you guys. I was doing a lot of technical stuff and it don't even really show because I feel like all the hard work I did technically didn't really reveal itself in today's show. And so I didn't really pull out a quote or nothing for mindful thought. But um I want to leave y'all since we've been moving along the lines of speaking from the Christian aspect, the Bible and everything about raising a child. My mindful thought is very plain and simple. We've heard it a million times and it's true. It's important though. It's very important. My mindful thought is raise up a child the way you will have them to go. And when they get old, they will not depart from it. We have to understand that even when it doesn't seem like our children are listening, truth be told, they're listening. They just don't know when it's the right time to hear you. So please don't squander, hold back, or smuggle anything that you think your child needs to know. Give your full 100% when it comes to raising them up, giving them information, guiding them, teaching them. Everyone, I have their own tactics. I am not one to judge, because I believe the purpose is the point. If you are doing things with the purpose and point to make sure that your child is raised with the proper things, the proper mentality to be a productive part of society, then you're giving it your all, then I believe it will be rewarded. And when it is time for that child to apply that knowledge, they will apply it. So don't get discouraged. Don't give up. You did a very courageous thing by choosing to be a parent. You did a very courageous thing whether you chose to do it together with a significant other, whether you chose to do it by yourself, it doesn't matter. You chose it. Do it to the fullest. And I'm proud of everyone who has chosen to do so. Because at the end, when you raise them up the way you want them to go, when they get old, they will not depart from it. And it will be very much appreciated by them later. We might not feel it now. I tell my children, you're not going to thank me now. You're going to thank me when you're 40. And that's really when it's going to be worth it because it's going to be genuine and they're going to mean it. It's me, your girl, and that's you guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Another episode of Be More Mindful podcast. As you all know, Aneski literally means she belongs to me. So I thank y'all for having me for these few minutes. And I'm out, you guys. I will see you the second Thursday in April. Hey, and by the way, please make sure you are tapping in. Check out my little gig. As you can see, I'm going to let it scroll across the screen for one more time on IG and look up Mia Musa. She can be found at Mia Musa Comedy on Instagram, all lowercase letters. And yeah, you guys, in case you don't know, also I just dropped a new poetry book, Light Work. Make sure you check the ebook out on Kindle. Hard copy should be within the next week or two. And yep, that's it, you guys. The end of the show. I love you all. I love my city. And I'm out. Time to end the show.